Well, another packed week full of things. We had more hostages come home, more than the deal was from the beginning.
Yes.
Things are happening in Lebanon and Syria, and not to mention what's happening in the south in Egypt.
Yeah.
My goodness, it's been a long week. Seems like this week's been about a month long.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
TGR News, broadcasting from the State of Israel.
Welcome back to TGR News.
Hello, hello.
Well, praise Jesus, 3 more of our precious hostages came home this past Saturday. Netanyahu has been one of the greatest prime ministers Israel has ever had, but he's still just a man, and he's fallible like the rest of us.
Yeah.
I believe that he made a great mistake by not jumping and grabbing on with 2 hands to Trump's ultimatum and demanding that all the hostages come home that past Saturday. Instead, he allowed them to release only 3 hostages and stay with the deal so much previous like it was before, right?
Yeah, even though they already violate the deal many times.
Yeah,
Breaking.
But it was a mistake. It was a brave mistake in my opinion.
Yeah.
I believe he should have, just like I said, jumped on with 2 hands and grabbed on to Trump's ultimatum and hold on to his coattails, I guess. And
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, it was once, because on one part it's you're happy to see 3 hostages come home, but then you're sad that it's not everyone, right?
It's this kind of euphoria that we have here in Israel. Every time, every Shabbat that we see those hostages coming back.
Yeah.
Even if they like horrible condition, we're still happy to see them back. And this feeling of euphoria, it's addictive.
Yeah, it's addictive, and people are getting addicted to it, and it's becoming a norm thing now. But that's also not a good thing.
Yes,
That's another reason why we should just go ahead and should have jumped on Trump's ultimatum, get them all home, and get this thing over with.
Yeah. At the beginning of the week, Israel and Hamas began to talk about the second stage of the hostage deal. With the help of the Trump administration, Israel is finally making a deal that makes better sense. For the first time, we are hearing from Hamas the possibility of them understanding that all of our hostages are coming home, and they, Hamas, will not be allowed to stay in power and position of control in Gaza. Also, we're asking for them to demilitarize right now. That's what we're talking about right now. But officially, we didn't send yet our delegation to the Qatar like we usually do. But the talkings started. That's what we hear here.
Yeah. Well, just like you said, it's you can feel the change in the talks. First of all, as long as we're talking and making deals with Hamas, there's still Hamas.
Yeah.
But it's the first time you've actually hear talks and like they are starting to understand, especially once again, sorry to keep saying the same thing over and over again, because of Trump, it seems like they're now finally starting to understand that they are not going to stay in control. They are going to end up having to give up all the hostages and everything, the normal things you would expect to have happened up until this point, 500 days, right? Over 500 days. Well, today we had 4 hostages' bodies come home. They were the bodies of the Abibas family and Oded Lifshitz. This was an unplanned blessing, even though they have been murdered by Hamas, and it was just the bodies. At least this gives the families closure and the ability to begin to put this thing behind them. Also unplanned, this Saturday we will be receiving 6 hostages instead of 3. These are supposed to be alive, and one of them is even one of our neighbors, so we're hoping to see him come home alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like I said, it was a blessing, like you talked about before. Even though we see the conditions that the alive or the deceased come back, it's hard to see, but it's a blessing because you're beginning to get to the end of the story for these horrible things that these families and these people have been going through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention 2 things.
What's that?
First of all, the price that we're paying for this.
Yes.
You say blessing to have 6 instead of 3. Yes, it's a blessing, but we also paid for that. 638 terrorists are going to be released from Israeli prisons. And nobody talks about it. You hear it here, only here, but this is true. More than 1,000 Gazans, civilians that was arrested. Some of them held the Israeli hostages in their house.
Yeah, they were the prison guards of the...
They're going to be released too. Nobody talks about it, but it's hard to say the price because we want them here, our hostages.
Yes.
But there is a price.
Of course there's a... Now let's talk about that. Okay, let's talk about that. Well, if there's a way we can get rid of all of our terrorist prisoners that our tax-paying shekels, not dollars, tax-paying shekels go towards. If we can get rid of all of them, get all of our hostages back and take all of them and put them all in Gaza, and then Trump come in and get all of them out of Gaza somewhere far away from here, that might not be a bad deal. That's for Israel. That's a win-win.
Yeah, the question if we're going to do that.
But there's too big of ifs involved. Yeah, so it's difficult. It's a difficult situation. It really is. Well, this week we passed 500 days of war since the 7th of October. During this time, we fought on 7 fronts: Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Iran, Iraq, Judea and Samaria, and of course, in the Gaza Strip. Over 800 soldiers were killed, half in Gaza, and over 5,000 injured. That is just what has happened here at home. We have had to deal with the unveiling of hidden anti-Semitism all over the world, including in the universities in the United States. Israel and the nation of Israel are hurting and in pain, feeling like the whole world is against them. This is why you are so important. We didn't say it at the beginning, but thank you guys so much. It is such a blessing to be able to be a part of this, what you guys do. Everything that the people of Israel are going through, especially at this time, you are a big beacon of light to show them love in this time where the world is showing them only hate. It is so beautiful to be a part of. And on top of that, to be the body of Christ and be able to witness in such a precious way.
Yes.
I mean, it is just such a beautiful thing. You guys really are making a huge difference in these people's lives, in their spiritual life and in their physical life. So thank you so much for everything you do. If you haven't been and you want to be a part of this, what we do here at the Golden Report, there are links below all of our videos to the Patreon page or to the Support Us page. Or all you got to do is go to your web browser and type in thegoldenreport.com and go to the Support Us page there and find out whichever way is best for you. And if you like all this news we're putting out, we also put out a TGR News Telegram report where you get it live, absolutely live. Sometimes you'll get it before the Israeli news gets it, the Israeli citizens get it. Yeah. And there's a link below for that if you want to.
Yes.
So let's get back. But I just wanted to say it was so important what you guys do.
Thank you so much.
All this horrible news we're talking about, and you're the beacon of light in their life. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Well, no one is talking about it too much, but Israel has been pulling out of both Syria and Lebanon and attacking positions and has been setting up for a long-term defense position. We are holding in 5 strategically placed bases in southern Lebanon, while we are building 10 bases in Syria for a long-term defense position. We will have to see what this will do, seeing how Turkey and Russia are in Syria and are not happy with our presence, not even a little bit, alongside with the new governing terrorist faction that's now taken over in Syria, right? So the Syrian front for decades, since the Yom Kippur War, Syria, to be honest, has been a joke. That's why, if you notice, everyone is in Syria. Russia's got bases in Syria. America's got bases in Syria. We are in Syria. Turkey's in Syria. Syria doesn't have no sovereignty. Any country they want can come in and take over and say, okay, now we got this part of your land, and we're gonna, it's just because they were completely crushed after the Yom Kippur War, and now Syria, after all these decades, has now become something that we need to be keeping our eye on. And let's not forget the prophecies of Damascus falling, right? So it's all set. Everything's all setting up,
Yes,
right?
yes.
We was gonna. I know you wanted to say something.
No.
Because you kept. I was talking, and it seemed like you was going.
Yeah, because I didn't say my second thing.
Oh, what second thing?
I say I have two things to say about the release of the dead hostages.
Oh my, I'm sorry. Let's go back to that.
Well,
What's the second
later.
thing?
Well, don't worry. Later,
Okay.
So let's talk about. We're talking about Syria, Lebanon. Let's talk about Egypt.
Oh yeah.
Egypt. Also, not many. Actually, nobody talks about it. It's like something taboo or something. But Syria is getting militarized. We talked about it last week and the week before. Is Egypt getting militarized?
Yeah, the Sinai, right on our border.
Which is definitely breaking the agreement of Camp David, which is supposed to leave Sinai demilitarized
Yes.
because of what happened in the Yom Kippur War, because they attacked us.
That's right.
So anyway, the situation in south between Israel and Egypt has escalated to a war of words and threats. Egypt has threatened that if any Gaza civilians enter to their country, that they will attack. Also, someone made a fake video made by AI, a clip about Israel taking out one of their dams, and Egypt threatened to attack the Mona nuclear facility and the rest of the country, including Tel Aviv.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, everything is. It looks like, it's the way it is here in the Middle East. Everything looks like it's going to boil, and then it simmers back down, and then everything. Because this is like the third time in the past 500 days where it looks like we're coming up to a climactic point where a big war is going to break out, right?
Yes.
And we're there again. So who knows what's going to happen?
This is the Middle East.
But what was that second thing?
So I said I have two things to say about the release of the hostages, the bodies. And the second thing is this sick, evil show that Hamas put out every time. And I was thinking, maybe I'm naive, call me naive, but I was thinking because they're dead already, our hostages are dead, it's just the bodies, they won't do it this time. But they actually did. They made a stage, put probably thousands of shekels for all these printed posters and stuff, which they have, all this money, right? And every coffin, 4 coffins, every coffin had a photo of the hostage and propaganda photo of Benjamin Netanyahu underneath, and it all was over with big propaganda. And those sick people actually was proud. They made interviews on Al Jazeera, another terrorist media, right? They was proud and saying, look, we're handing over the bodies of these hostages that we capture. They were proud about a mother, her 2 children, and an elderly 86 years old man. They were proud about that.
Yeah.
Which they kidnapped and murdered in captivity.
Yeah, the hostages that came home today in coffins, the Abibas family, the wife and her 2 babies, is those red-headed babies, the ones that became like almost the poster kids of this whole thing.
Yeah, symbol.
Yeah, the symbol of this whole thing. So it was a big day for Israel that it came back. It was it's a sad day, happy day, all the emotions mixed together.
Yes.
Well, you got anything you want to add?
That's it. I said my second thing.
You finally said your second thing. Well, thank you guys. You guys are so important to the people you help here. So don't forget to join us on thegoldenreport.com. And until next time,
Shabbat shalom.
God bless.